The fourth and closing session of the 47th Quadrennial National Convention of the Democratic Party will now come to order.
In 2016's version of these conventions, there were speeches and celebrities, protests and promises, tears, cheers, and political potshots.
It must be humbling to be so wrong about so much for so long.
Welcome to Watch Mojo News, the weekly series where we break down news stories that might be on your radar. In this installment, we're counting down 10 crucial facts you should know about the Republican and Democratic National Conventions. Number 10. What happened at the Republican National Convention, or RNC?
Heidi and I are so honored to join you here in Cleveland, where LeBron James just led an incredible comeback victory.
Held July 18th to the 21st, 2016 at the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. The RNC saw Donald Trump formally named as the Republican Party's presidential nominee, with Mike Pence tapped as his running mate.
I accept your nomination to run and serve as vice president.
Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, John Kasich, Ben Carson, Jeb Bush, and Rand Paul had all previously dropped out of the race to lead the Republicans, or suspended their campaigns, making Trump's eventual victory an almost foregone conclusion.
6 votes, Kasich. 89 votes, Donald J. Trump.
Trump won the vote on the first ballot, with 69.8% of the delegates, which stands as the lowest percentage of delegates won by the Republican nominee since Gerald Ford in 1976.
Delegates and alternates to this Republican convention, I am honored by your nomination and I accept it.
Number 9. What happened at the Democratic National Convention, or DNC?
What happened in this city 240 years ago still has something to teach us today.
Held the following week, July 25th to the 28th, 2016, at Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The DNC saw Hillary Clinton officially nominated as the leader of the Democrats, with Senator Tim Kaine securing his role as her running mate and nominee for vice president. Bernie Sanders, who proved an unexpected force in winning 23 primaries and caucuses during his own campaign, had pushed Clinton throughout her campaign.
In recent days, Bernie momentum drawing larger crowds than every candidate running in the 2016 race for the White House.
Though Sanders gave his endorsement to Clinton in July, he still urged his supporters to continue the political revolution his campaign had begun, but under Clinton's leadership instead.
And let me thank the 13 million Americans who voted for the political revolution.
Hillary became the first woman to be nominated for president by a major political party in the United States.
Let's build a better tomorrow for our beloved children and our beloved country. And when we do, America will be greater than ever.
Number 8. What were the highlights of the RNC? In the run-up to the RNC, Donald Trump promised a glitzy and glamorous affair, rounded off with a host of well-known faces. While there were less conventionally political speakers than might have been expected, actors and athletes gathered to give Trump their backing.
They don't hang out with regular folks like us, who like to hunt and fish and pray.
Duck Dynasty's Willie Robertson opened the program, before Happy Days actor Scott Baio gave his endorsement. Antonio Sabato Jr. of General Hospital also made an appearance, as well as soap opera star Kimberlyn Brown and LPGA golfer Natalie Gulbis.
I have no delusions that there isn't a mess to clean up, and we desperately need someone to clean up that mess.
Critics have pointed to the lack of any major A-list name, however. Reports even circulated that Justin Bieber was offered $5 million to perform at the convention, but that the Canadian singer had turned it down.
Sorry, yeah, I know that I let you down. Is it too late to say I'm sorry now?
Number 7. What were the highlights of the DNC?
I'm asking you to join me to reject cynicism and reject fear and to summon what is best in us to elect Hillary Clinton as the next president of the United States.
For the Democratic convention, less focus was put on the speakers and more on the actual speeches themselves.
A real change maker represents a real threat.
Outgoing President Barack Obama, former President Bill Clinton, and fellow nominee Bernie Sanders all took to the podium in support of Hillary Clinton.
Donald Trump, well, like most Republicans, he chooses to reject science.
But perhaps the most moving and effective support for the would-be first female president came from the current First Lady. Michelle Obama's 14 minutes on the mic received worldwide attention for her passionate reflections on Hillary as a role model for future generations.
We need to pour every last ounce of our passion and our strength and our love for this country into electing Hillary Clinton as president of the United States of America.
Cheryl Lankford's revelations that Trump University, quote, cheated her out of insurance money following her husband's death in Baghdad could also prove particularly persuasive for undecided voters.
But then he decided to make himself even richer by cheating working people who had nothing to spare. What kind of man does that?
The DNC had its fair share of celeb endorsement too. Meryl Streep, Sarah Silverman, and Elizabeth Banks all featured as well.
She went to work advocating for children and families. It was one of her first fights, and since then, she has never let up.
Number 6. What issues arose during the conventions?
Mrs. Trump said last night it wouldn't be a Trump campaign without drama and excitement, but this is probably not what they had in mind.
The biggest controversy at the RNC surrounded the speech made by Donald Trump's wife Melania on the first day of the event. Melania's words were enthusiastically applauded at the time, but several lines were subsequently found to have been lifted from a speech delivered by Michelle Obama at the 2008 Democratic National Convention.
That your word is your bond.
That your word is your bond.
That you do what you say you're going to do.
And you do what you say and keep your promise.
Reactions to the supposed plagiarism were mixed. A Trump staffer took the blame, but Trump himself posted a tweet that essentially declared all publicity is good publicity. At the DNC, the most pressing issue for the Clinton camp came from supporters of her one-time rival, Bernie Sanders. When Sanders delivered his endorsement of Hillary, there were widespread boos in the hall, as many Democrats believed that Bernie was unfairly forced out of the race to become party leader.
We have got to defeat Donald Trump. And we have got to elect Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine.
Number 5. Which convention pulled the bigger audience? In the ratings war, the DNC came out on top, with more people watching the Democrats than the Republicans on average. Viewing figures for the first, second, and third nights of the Democratic convention beat the respective nights at the RNC. But figures for the final night were a lot more even, with reports suggesting that Donald Trump's official acceptance speech was watched by more people than the corresponding speech made by Hillary Clinton. According to Fortune, the DNC averaged 29.2 million viewers over 4 nights, while the RNC pulled in 25.2 million. However, only 33.3 million people watched Clinton on the final night, compared to 34.9 million for Trump. Number 4. What were the major differences between the two conventions?
That we can participate in the political process without fear of retribution, and that our votes will be counted, at least most of the time.
Throughout history, the party conventions have proven reasonably similar to one another, with presumptive leaders divided over specific so-called hot topics.
We are staying on the offensive, striking terrorists abroad so we do not have to face them here at home.
In 2016, though, some important social issues went almost entirely under the radar as each party set out its platform. When analyzing the tone taken at each convention, the Washington Post even asked, quote, "Are the RNC and DNC talking about the same country?"
USA, USA, USA.
For Donald Trump, law and order were placed high on the agenda, with references made to terrorism, illegal immigrants, and crime.
Hillary Clinton is proposing mass amnesty, mass immigration, and mass lawlessness.
The rhetoric out of the DNC was much softer and calmer, however, with emphasis placed on togetherness, diversity, and compassion. Democratic delegate Carla Stobig seemed to summarize the two options being thrust at the American public. While she conceded that, quote, fear is a strong motivator, she hoped that, quote, love is a better plan.
Hillary Clinton understands that we have to invest in education and jobs for our young people, not more jails or incarceration.
Number 3, who are Donald Trump's major supporters?
So he's got your vote.
Yeah, hell, big time.
As well as those who made an appearance at the RNC. Donald Trump's celebrity endorsements include Dennis Rodman, Kid Rock, Mike Tyson, and Azalea Banks.
What you got to when I appear? Do it when I premiere. This the end of your life there. This shit with my
Charlie Sheen has shown support too, although he has also previously described the Republican leader as, quote, a shame pile of idiocy on Twitter.
Don't remember, don't care.
Trump has seemingly found political endorsements a little more difficult to come by, though. Former Vice Presidents Dick Cheney and Dan Quayle are behind him, while the decorated ex-CIA officer Gary Berntsen and former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld also back Trump.
No one asked me for my endorsement, but I'm clearly going to vote for him. I mean, I just can't imagine not.
The Republican leader has additionally been endorsed by at least 35 current U.S. senators. Number 2, who are Hillary Clinton's major supporters?
She certainly paid her dues, so she has the right to be president if anybody does, as far as I'm concerned.
In terms of celebrities, Hillary Clinton has been backed by the likes of Robert De Niro, Beyonce, Amy Schumer, and George and Amal Clooney, to name a few.
If at the end of all of this, he gets beaten by the person who becomes the first female president of the United States, then I think that would send a very positive message.
The former Secretary of State also has strong backing from the White House itself, with Barack and Michelle Obama and a number of important politicians in her corner.
Hillary Clinton has my support. I know she will also have yours.
Jimmy Carter, Joe Biden, John Kerry, and Al Gore are all behind her. And at least 45 current U.S. senators have officially endorsed her. Hillary also made surprising headway with the press shortly after the DNC. On July 30th, the typically Republican Houston Chronicle issued its support for the Democratic leader. Number 1, which convention came out on top?
Tomorrow we can be respected and protected, especially if Hillary Clinton is our president. And that's why I'm proud to stand here and say that I'm with her.
While the viewing figures suggest that there was more public interest in the DNC, the final night numbers seem to prove that the Republicans' trump card is Trump himself.
We're going to win so big. Thank you very much.
The convention served as a launch pad for the presidential campaigns for both parties. And while they weren't without their hiccups, neither camp is likely to be too disappointed with the general outcome.
Tonight, we've reached a milestone in our nation's march toward a more perfect union.
The Republicans had to swerve some difficult questions after their would-be First Lady's speech, but Donald Trump was still the most watched figure across both events. The Democrats had to overcome inter-party issues after pro-Bernie Sanders protests. But Hillary Clinton still emerged looking strong and seemingly in control.
It comes down to what Donald Trump doesn't get. America is great because America is good.
As the race for the White House narrows down to 2 official runners, the conventions gave us a glimpse at how the months leading up to the U.S. presidential election would unfold.
What a night! Wow!
Did these facts get you thinking? To vote for which news story is covered next, head over to WatchMojo.com/suggest. And be sure to hit that subscribe button for more newsworthy top 10s published every week.
Who would have believed this? Who would have believed this?